I really don't believe there are answers to a lot of the questions that we have about life unless we release ourselves from this confined little space. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, author and transformational life coach. Today I do a lot of videos for you guys with a lot of tips and helpful things you can do for your personal and spiritual growth. But today I want to bring up what I feel is an extremely important topic. So I really hope that you guys will watch this video all the way through and leave your comments below about your thoughts on what I'm about to discuss with you guys, because I think this is a very serious topic. And I want to start by bringing up, I came up with this term the other day that I like to call radical spirituality. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. It occurs to me that we have a lot of things going on spiritually and in religions and, all these different avenues of spirituality that are not fully addressing our situation on this planet. So I think we need to start thinking a little bit more broadly, a little bit differently, and in order to come up with some bigger answers. Okay. Now, I had the most amazing experience recently with my hairdresser. And I want to share this story with you guys because it just kind of blew my mind the way this scene unfolded. Now, here's what happened. See, I was going over there and, usually when you're at a hairdresser or a manicurist or whatever, it's all small talk, right? I mean, I've done this for years, and you just sit there with this person for a long time, depending on what they're doing. And it's just a lot of small talk. Well, this particular day, I was feeling like, I just don't feel like the small talk. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I know that's what I'm going to be faced with. And I just didn't want to do it. I couldn't figure out how to get out of it because this is a really nice person and it's a nice situation. And I couldn't sit there in total silence, right? So I'm sitting there at the beginning, and she went to do something for a moment, and the owner of the salon was there, and he was, getting ready for whatever he was going to do next. And I just said, I don't know if you guys talk to your angels, but I do. I talk to my angels, not all the time, but a fair amount. And I just said to myself, I said, angels, can you just make this conversation unfold in a really nice way? That was my only request. I just want this conversation to unfold in a really nice way because I just didn't feel up to the small talk, okay? Literally right after I said that, it was so bizarre. It was like somebody flipped a switch. I'm telling you guys, it was surreal. So here's what happened. So the owner of the salon, he seems like he's in a good mood. And I said, so how are you doing today? And he said, great. And I said, well, that's nice to hear. You don't hear that too often. That's really great that you feel that way. And he looks right at me and he goes, meditation. And I'm like, oh, really? Do you meditate? And he starts going, oh, and he starts talking about chakras and meditation and energy. And I mean, it was like, I had no idea. I mean, I live in a kind of a conservative area, and, and I was just shocked. I was completely shocked because not like this is the first time I've talked to these guys, right? And all of a sudden, it was like somebody flipped a switch and we were in a different world. The conversation was different. It was like something opened up. So he's just going on and we're having this whole conversation about all this stuff that I would never bring up with somebody that I didn't know really well, right? So then the hairdresser comes in and she gets in on the conversation. Well, then he leaves, and then it turns out there's like almost nobody around. So then we end up in this conversation that's like, I was shocked. I was blown away. We must have talked about everything under the sun from, do you think there's other life other than on this planet? And, people that she knew that had UFO experiences and you know, being brought up in religion and, technology and robots. I mean, we just went the full gamut, the full spectrum of what's going on this planet. That is all the stuff that nobody talks about in the everyday world. Now, this is like about the fourth time in recent days that I've had this happen to me, where all of a sudden I end up in this conversation with somebody that they just suddenly start to open up about what's really going on in their head, what's really going through their mind, the stuff that they never talk about. And that was the same thing that she said to me, I never can talk to anybody about this stuff, right? So we had the most incredible conversation that I'm still, every time I think about it, I'm still blown away, because I'm telling you guys, it was literally like the moment I made that request, I just don't want to deal with the small talk. I just want to feel good in this conversation. I'm telling you, it was like a switch flipped, and we were like in a different world. And the world we were in was the more expanded world that we're all capable of. Now, here's the thing I wanted to share with you guys about this story that I find so interesting. What I realize is that in our everyday world of things, we are educated, we are in a certain way programmed by society to stay within the confines of a certain parameter of thinking. And so inside of that parameter that's sort of like the socially acceptable place to speak to others from. And so we get into this habit where when we talk to other people, it's like, okay, we can only dialogue in this safe space that we've been told is okay. Now, I'm not talking about all the political stuff going on. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm more interested in the bigger picture. I'm talking about something much broader than that. But there's another world that we hold inside of ourselves. That's the bigger world. That's the world, that's that private world where we ask questions, where we look for answers, where we maybe are somewhat lost, maybe we're confused. But I find it very odd that this is like now the fourth time I've had one of these types of conversations, and they seem to be getting more intense, more in depth each time. So I'm really taking that as a message to myself from the universe, really, like, Saratoga, you need to start talking more about things that really matter. You need to stop talking about just the superficiality of New Age, spirituality, all that stuff, and personal growth. That stuff's all great, but there's something way more that you know about that you need to be talking about. So I'm going to start doing that, okay? And I'm going to start with, I don't know where to start today, but I'm going to go on. Let's just start with the condition of our earth, okay? Let's just talk about this for a moment. Now, we humans, we have this very bizarre, primitive belief that is kind of spiritual, and it's all, I don't even know where this comes from, honestly, but we have this bizarre, primitive belief that planet Earth is like we are the center of the universe. Now, honestly, we have tons of proof that this is not true. We know there's a massive universe out there. We know there are many galaxies. Galaxies are like pinpoints of light if you stand back far enough. I mean, our Earth, you can't even find it in the bigger picture. It's so microscopic. That's the truth. That's a fact. That's not theory. That is absolute proven fact. But even knowing that, we are still stuck in a mindset that says, we're it, man. We are it. The fact that we even asked the question, and this is what came up in my conversation with my hairstylist, the fact that we even asked the question, do you think there might be life out there? It's kind of like, can we just use a little bit of common sense? This is not about, are you into you? Let me tell you right now, my position on UFOs, guys, I think it's kind of boring, to be perfectly honest. I think UFOs are kind of like, if there are UFOs, which I think there probably are, but that's like traffic from another planet. I mean, I don't care. I don't care about UFOs. It's just not my thing, okay? I'm talking about something bigger. I'm talking about life in the universe, okay? so she asked me, she said, well, do you think there's life out there? And I said, I just look at it as common sense. Do you really think it's rational to believe that we are all there is? Okay, that we're it. There's nothing else. We are the center of the whole cosmos. See, I find that to be completely irrational. So why do we believe this? Why do we persist in believing this? I want to tell you guys another interesting little story here, because I've been doing this work for a lot of years. I've been doing coaching before coaching was even a thing or a word. Okay, so I've been doing this for a long time. I used to do workshops before the internet, okay, and I actually tried to get people to have a bigger context even back then. Do you know what I had to do, guys? You will not believe this. I got a big poster with a picture of planet Earth from space, and I would put it on an easel in front of the room because I was trying to help people understand that we live on a planet in space. All I was trying to do was to get people to expand their context so we could think about the whole world, our situation, just a bigger picture than our little, mundane everyday lives. That's the only reason I was doing it. I was just trying to make a point. And I had people come up to me afterwards and say, I know we live on a planet intellectually, but I don't really get it. This wasn't that long ago, guys. Okay, you can see I'm not like 200 years old, okay? You can see that. So it's striking to me that it wasn't that long ago that people couldn't even comprehend that. So now, we're so much smarter. We actually all get it now because there's the internet, there's Google Earth, we see our own planet from space, we have astronauts, they'd already gone to the moon when I showed them this picture, but it didn't matter. We're so slow. Things are expanding faster than our minds are comprehending because we're still corralled in this little world that we're told to think inside of, and we're in a very bad habit of doing that. Okay, so it's like we're still acting like Earth is still the center of the cosmos, even though it's proven the cosmos is massive. It's indescribably huge, okay? So my point is I really don't believe there are answers to a lot of the questions that we have about life, about ourselves, about spirituality, about any of this stuff, unless we release ourselves from this confined little space, okay? Unless we free ourselves from this tiny little context. What is the context that I'm talking about? I'm talking about, okay, like, what's my life? What's my routine? I get up in the morning, I get in rush hour traffic, I go to my job, I come home from work, I watch Netflix, or I go online, I go on social media, whatever your thing is. I look for entertainment, I just barely get by, I'm totally stressed out, I go to sleep, I can't sleep, I have insomnia, but so I take some kind of medication so I can sleep better, and I get up the next morning, I drink my coffee so I can wake up, and then I get back, I do the same thing all over again. I'm totally stressed out at work, maybe I'm going to lose my job, oh, my relationship's terrible, oh, I don't have a relationship, oh my God, what am I going to do, when am I going to get my vacation? And it just goes on and on and on, right? And this is our world. Meanwhile, guys, I got so many stories I could tell you just about experiences I've had talking to people. Look at technology. I mean, how many news, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really read much news, but I do look at headlines a lot just because I'm curious what the headlines are. And there's so many headlines about the end of civilization, technology, robots taking over, et cetera, all this stuff, right? And we just kind of go, oh, well, no big deal, right? Because we're still caught in that tiny little world I was talking about. So I think my whole point here when I brought up the term radical spirituality is that we need something more radical in terms of our context, in terms of our expansive thought. And that's one of the things that I found very interesting in my conversation with my hairstylist. It's like, when you take down the barriers of what you're allowed to talk about, what you're allowed to think about in terms of questions about life, all right, just questions about life itself, the nature of life, the existence of human beings. When you take down those boundaries of thinking and speaking, you actually find that you can move around, you can reason things out, you can think differently, you can ask different questions, you can come even to different conclusions. But you're actually, what it does for you is it expands your intelligence level. So I really have come to the point where I believe that we need a bigger, broader level of spirituality. We need something much more comprehensive, much more expanded, much more that addresses our situation on this earth, in this universe. Okay, now I want to say something before I finish here. I want to say something about the New Age and religion. Okay, I think this is my own personal assessment. Okay, I think religion has a lot of goodness. I'm not religious. I grew up in the Catholic Church, but I'm no longer a part of that. I think religion has a lot of good in it, and it's very unifying. It's there's just a lot of good. I don't need to tell you guys. I'm sure you guys all know what that is, right? But I also think the New Age has good too, because the New Age is sort of like a freedom to it. It has free spirituality to it. It's like the freedom to search, the freedom to find your own path, the freedom to discover things spiritually for yourself. And I have a lot of Christians that follow me, and I have a lot of New Agers that follow me. I have people who are Buddhist. I have people who are Muslim. I have all kinds of people that follow me. So I think that's pretty cool. So it's not really about saying anything about all of those avenues, good or bad. I think that everybody should decide for themselves what works for them. What I'm encouraging here is not, oh, you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, couldn't we have something in addition to those things? If we find value in those things, great, let's keep those things around. But in addition to that, can we expand our thinking? Can we expand our arena of thought? Can we start asking questions that address our actual situation? Can we come to terms with what we have learned via technology about the universe, about our earth, about our place in this cosmos? Can we actually come to terms with all of it? Okay, so that's really my message, and that's why I came up with the term radical spirituality. I think we need to go a lot farther than we have been going as a human species, and I think it will be to our benefit to do so. Okay, so I would love to know what your thoughts are on this. Leave me comments below. Maybe you love this, maybe you hate this, maybe you don't know how you feel about any of this, but whatever the case, I would really like to know what your thoughts are. Okay, and if you have any experiences you want to share, that'd be awesome. Please feel free to share it in the comments. And I think that's it for now, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day, everybody.